All right, welcome everyone. The first thing, this is going to be a fun conversation. Let's take this as everyone coming here. I want to take home some learning, whether you wanted to make transition to BI career path, or you wanted to just understand how the BI engineering world is and how it kind of relates to data engineering. I mean, data science job family. So whatever is your goal for today's talk, and I'm hoping that will be fulfilled. So without any further ado, let's start. Introduction, I'm not going to cover anything here. We already spent our first 10 minutes. The reason I block first 10 minutes is one, I want to let people to join, give enough time. The other is sometimes when I try to host things on Google Meet, I get, bigger audience, and then I may have to switch on the live mode. So I give myself a little bit of buffer time there. Today, I think we are good. It didn't happen, so which is good. I enjoy doing on the Google Meet because it's more interactive and engaging. I encourage people to, save questions until we finish our presentation from all the coaches, because some of that could be answered because we took all your questions submitted on the form and kind of like build our slides based around that. If that is not answered, then we'll open the floor. There's 30 minutes live Q&A, and obviously whoever can come off mute on camera, they get preference to ask questions. But if you drop the questions on chat, I will be actively monitoring, and then I will either answer myself or kind of relay to my coaches, right? So whatever makes sense, I'll probably be the load balancer for the question answer. All right, so we wanted to cover 3 areas. And let me see if anyone else is still pending join. Okay, no. So I will cover the first core area of expressing what are various titles in data science and where kind of BI comes to fit in, So then Shubha will cover mostly on the BI engineering side. What are the different facets for BI engineering? What are the multiple hats they usually wear? Then I'll invite Vaishali to cover BI analytics part because she has some experience in data science side as well. So she will probably give some tips for interview process, how those roles are, what kind of projects you guys should focus on of that nature. And then we'll probably end our conversation. About me, I hope a lot of you folks came to find out about this talk from my LinkedIn post. So I assume you either know me through some mentorship call or following me for my content. So in summary, right now I work in Microsoft as a senior data scientist, past experience being in government for some time, fintech briefly, and also I was part of VMware's cybersecurity team for a brief amount of time. I enjoy working in data, especially in the security domain. I really I don't meet too many people often on the domain, but it's one of the areas where I would think the AI has it's much bigger scope because there's a lot of things we need to automate, and the security incidents, they will never go down. It's just exponentially growing, right? So all right, so various titles in the data science. This is one of the slides that I did on my resume building webinar as well. It's so confusing. So because one, the companies are creating jobs and don't understand what they actually want. That's the main problem, I would say. Because they think, yeah, I want a data scientist to come and do the model, but then they start asking questions to themselves, do I have the data ready? So do I need data engineers as well? And instead of creating two open roles, they're like, okay, so let's add another roles and responsibility under the same title. So they're like, okay, build the data pipeline stuff. So data science title itself is gonna overload, right? And that has been happening. That's one problem. The other is not understanding the exact meaning of what each title will do. And this slide will cover a little bit of that. One of the title that I recently added that I didn't cover in past was the analytics engineer. The analytics engineer is actually, I would say, not brand new thing, but as compared to other roles, it is kind of coming up lately, right? So in my opinion, it's kind of combination of some analytics, which is data analyst. Then engineering piece is unique here. Engineering could be coming from data engineering. Engineering could be coming from ML engineering, or it could be coming from software engineering. So, and that depends, like what is the demand of that particular role for particular companies. Analytics engineer role itself can have some variation, whether it can focus on, depending on that engineer, right? If they are focusing more on the data engineering plus data analyst, that is the most common one that I have seen. Let me actually give a quick example. This roles over here is just definition, but I have a good slide that I created. Think about how you get a water supply in your house, right? This is very good analogy to remember all these rules. So data engineers are the plumbers. They will set up the water pipeline. Water can come from various sources, right? And it's actually coming to your house, up to your house. All they are doing is building the pipeline, setting up it properly. There's no leakage. There's, like everything is running fine, right? Then comes the analytics engineer, which is the new title that I just mentioned. And their role is actually to organize. They're going to have some filtration system. They're going to clean, prep, and then they're going to say that, okay, this water is for drinking, this is for cooking, this is for laundry, right? I mean, obviously in our house, we use the same water pipeline, but just for the sake of this analogy, I'm saying that there could be different ways to organize the water lines, right? And you can think of it like, okay, this water line goes to the kitchen for cooking, for example, right? So that last piece of, the data related functionality, assigning, that usually is the analytics engineer, right? So they are like, okay, so if someone needs the water for drinking, you go to this particular water tap or water fountain to get the water. And then whoever is coming to get the water for, it could be data analyst, data scientist, think of water as data. And then if data analyst is, for example, preparing a tea, right? So that means he's doing some analysis, serving or building a report. Then now he or she knows that way to go, right? The pipelines is already built from engineers. The analytical engineer already kind of like assigned that this is, ready for making a tea. This is filtered, this is clean water, and this is what you can use. Data scientists, on the other hand, they bring some predictive power to the picture, right? So that means I call them water economist here, just for the sake of calling them. So they analyze the usage pattern, for example, and they could predict the future usage cost. They can identify the trends, how has been the water usage, and they can also find optimal ways to allocate resources, right? So that is the data scientist in picture. And then today's focus, BI engineers, right? What do they do? Where do they fit in? So they usually are, it's actually a unique role in itself because they do some data engineering as well. Then they do some predictive modeling as well, mostly forecasting and regression type models. Even if they don't go too deep on the ML side, they do some modeling, right? So it's not that they don't have their hands on any of the algorithm at all. They will, right? And they have to generate business insights that can drive the business metrics, right? So they kind of complete the picture of grabbing the data, doing the analytics, and pushing to the reporting platform. So that's most of their work. ML engineer, obviously, they are the automation people. The scientists build the model. Where does the model go? It has to be deployed in production. So they are the one who helps to deploy the model, right? So and research scientists, they are mostly on the research side. So they are the innovative people. So if you think about in this analogy, they'll like develop some new techniques for water usage or something, right? So, all right. So where does the BI fits in? I already kind of highlighted a little bit earlier. So this is actually a brief pipeline work, right? So you can build, mostly the workflow remains similar, even in other cases. You collect the data, process it, then you do some BI, right? So this is where actually, if you only focus on the BI analytics piece and the reporting, then your role is more leaning towards the BI analyst. So there's a little bit of subtle difference between BI analyst versus BI engineer. The engineering piece comes from this data engineering side. So if the BI person is also doing the data engineering, some of the work of data engineering, then some analytics as well from the data science piece, and everything, a little bit of everything in a way. So this is actually where the BI engineering can kind of fit in. So you can imagine the BI engineers are the ones who switch hat pretty often, right? So it gets busy, and I think Suba can highlight that later on my talk. All right, the job market. If I am going to be interested in learning the job market, what do I need to know? right? So I try to pull some. Obviously, we all are data folks here in this talk. We need to be data driven, right? So what are the numbers that suggest me that the job market is getting better, right? So in the BI world, I see it's increasing because there's multiple titles evolving. So you may see not only BI engineer, BI analyst titles. Today's talk, we focus on those two, but there is going to be a lot of variation. BI manager, BI architect. I mean, I have seen quite a bit of BI title variation. So in fact, labels.fyi, that's one of the popular websites for looking at the median salary or pay ranges. It suggests that right now, the current median salary is 160K, right? So, and they usually, when they call the median, is 50th percentile, right? So it can, if a lot of people with some sort of experience, they can easily drop themselves around 75th percentile, right? So the market is actually, once it is driving up, I suggest even my mentees that don't only focus heavily on data scientist title. Right? Try to explore more variation of data science fields and roles where they can get in, so there could be some titles, jobs where there's a little bit less competition, same sort of demand, it's all about supply and demand when you apply the jobs, right? Keep that in mind. So, all right. So now I added one more slide. Actually, this is based on what's the new stuff coming up in the market, right? So like GenAI, where does GenAI actually fits in data science projects? So it's not actually only related to the BI, but it's going to be related to overall data science picture based on my experience, and I've seen the project so far. Right now, I think I would say 80% of the projects are still on the prototyping. They're trying to understand where they can fit it in their business use case. How can they use these LLM models or GenAI products to make their data initiatives more promising, more valuable. So if you think about it, in every organization, more or less, there is definitely transaction-based database versus the online processing database. So you can think about most of the analytics happens on the OLAP, like the online-based platform, right? And the transaction-based is sometimes when you need exactly real-time transactions. So usually the data set is less as compared to the other one. So think of it as if bank has to maintain an ATM card transaction, they will use the near real time, actually real time, OLTP-DB, right? But ultimately it feeds to our OLAP. And that is actually you can think of a lot of these new technologies like Databricks, the Snowflake, a lot of these new database name is not important, or company name is not important, but think of it as anyone can have a data warehouse layer, right? So this is where the layer is. And that fits into the analytics platform, right? So they will have to have some sort of more cleaner version of data or analytics ready data. So data scientists can do their work, ML engineer can do their work, BI folks can do their work. So the reason I put top 3 here, it can be any of the data related roles. They can, they are fetching the data from here, doing the analytics, either building model, doing whatever, right? And then ultimately, if you do something, it has to be a visualization layer, right? So reporting layer. So that's where I build a model. It has to be either integrated. So this reporting is one piece. It could be another is like if I build actual ML model, it could be integrated to some application, right? But ultimately, even the application, the goal has to be the final KPI has to be monitored, right? So if I'm reducing the fraudulent transaction, for example, that's the model I build. Then how I am monitoring that, it has to be monitored, right? So this is actually what was there already. So we don't need a GenAI yet, right? So when GenAI comes in picture, what is happening? So when GenAI comes in picture, this is, as you see, only seeing the structured data, right? So, but we collect a lot of unstructured data today. So think of it as a customer review data, right? Picture images that we collect. So there's a lot of unstructured data that is still floating around. And how can we use that to make additional features or even for our modeling? Traditionally, right now, what we are doing is we're going to do a lot of the intermediate layer. We're going to create data pre-processing pipelines to process this unstructured data and then give some structure to it, right? However, the GenAIs are powerful to process some of this unstructured data. So what we can do is we can leverage prompt engineering or any other techniques to convert this unstructured data to some sort of structured data, and then we can throw it in the OLAP side again, and then it can be pulled into analytics side, right? You can also apply these unstructured data to either fine tune or build a model on top of it, and it kind of sends it to analytics layer. There's a lot of unstructured data, that means documents, right? So you have probably thousands and thousands pages of documents, and you want to build a retrieval system based on that. So it's almost like however we search in the Google today, and Google kind of goes to search in the internet. You want to build the same kind of technique, but in your own private data. How do you do that? That is where the RAG comes in picture, right? So retrieval augmented generation. And then you can build that technique on your pile of unstructured data, and then you can build a chat agents, for example. So you're gonna start talking to your documents. You're gonna ask questions related to your documents, right? So it can save a ton of time sometimes. I'll give you a really huge case that I worked in a project where the security analyst, when they review or resolve the incidents on a daily basis, they go to pile of, documents or policies to refer. They're like, okay, what is this violating? Like, how do I run this? So there's a lot of playbooks, instructions, the technical manual, right? We call it TSG, right? So, and if we build a knowledge base based on those documents, and we build a conversational agent on top of that, they can now just start asking questions, and then it's going to go grab the exact answer from those documents, and it also cite it where it found, right? So I think that's much valuable for time saving. So, all right, so this is going to conclude my presentation. I'll hand it over to Shiva. You can take the screen also. Yeah, let's wait until our presentation is over and then start dropping the questions on the chat or something. Hope so far you guys are enjoying the talk. All right, Shiva, you can take it over.
Yeah. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Just a sec. So yeah, hi everyone. Thank you very much, Nimal, for the quick intro and also the opportunity to meet with so many people and help them out in their career path. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm Subha. I have like more than 6 years of experience with data and all that, like providing insights and also proactive analysis and all that. I do. And then currently I'm working as a senior BI with Amazon and also hold a master's with business analytics from UW. So I'll definitely let you guys know how this master's helped me with where I am today, and also master's in business analytics precisely, because whatever I'm doing right now, definitely all these were encompassed in that particular degree, like whatever I learned. And yeah, let's dive deep into the BIE world. So yeah, what is BIE? So definitely Nirmal gave a really good example of we do wear multiple hats. So that's, I would say, I would definitely take it as a pro, not as a con, because BIE, the role as such, gives us a lot of flavor into, 3 different kinds of role. Like the first thing is the business or the data analysts, data engineering, and the data science. So for a fresher, it would be an apt role to get a flavor of like what each role, means. As they move up the ladder, they can choose a particular stream, like wherever they're comfortable or whatever they like. They feel that it is challenging for them. That kind of an avenue BIE role paves a path for. So definitely, we will be diving deep into it in our future slides. So what does a BIE project life cycle, which means that day-to-day life, and also how does a BIE handle a project? So from starting, first of all, as the name says, business intelligence engineer, business is the major component. So we need to understand the business. So for every role, business is a critical component. So as a BIE, only when we understand the business solely, we'll be able to provide them actionable insights. We will be able to provide the business like what is going wrong, and we can provide them the prescriptive analytics and all that. So having said that, it starts with requirement gathering. So what business wants, like what are they looking for? So that's something starts with the stakeholders. We reach out to them and they provide us, hey, currently this is going wrong. Can you please take a look at it? So we understand which part of the business is getting affected. And then we go hunt for the data. That's where the data gathering part comes into picture. So when I say data gathering, it encompasses the data engineering part basically there. So that happens. And then once I gather the data and validate the data and all that, I create the visualization to provide insights for the stakeholders or the business. And then I provide them that, hey, during this particular period, there is a dip over here. Let's go dive deep into that part alone. So this is where our sales or whatever has gone down. So let's look into it. So finding an anomaly, right? So through visualization, we do that. And then the predictive analytics is basically data science. So once we give them that, the business or the stakeholders will say that, hey, can we do a predictive analytics? Like, can we forecast something so that we'll know that in future everything looks good and nothing goes wrong? So that comes into picture there. And then the prescriptive analytics is basically like we provide them with a recommendation. This is what we need to do in order to avoid so and so chances of getting missed. So yeah, this is something which goes around with the project life cycle of a BIE. But 60 to 70% of it stops with the visualization itself. It is also like team to team specific. If that particular team has a data science heavy, if it is a science team, then definitely they will be taking care of the data science part. But still, we would be providing them with the initial prediction, like kind of a forecasting, basic forecasting and all that. So that is it with the BIE, what we do and all that. Now let me move to the next slide, which is the
Can you hit the slide slow on the top?
slideshow.
Yeah, if you hit it on the top, I think
Okay.
it will be more. Yeah, there you go.
Legible now? Okay, thank you. So yeah, BIE as a business or a data analyst, so we fall mostly under this radar, data analyst and the business analyst, and also data engineering, I would say. But now currently there is a lot of data science work BIEs are also doing and also expected to do, which is good. We get a flavor of like everything, and then we can choose what we want at the end. So yeah, BIE as a business analyst, as I said, the most important part is to understand the business end to end, like what happened in the past, what currently is happening with the business, and also having regular check-ins with the business people to understand the business. And also we contribute a lot to their impact, I would say. And BIE is a role where you can see the impact of your work with respect to the business. So you can literally tell them, like, for example, if there is a hardware sales company or something for that, you're doing a business analysis, you can tell them, okay, this is a profit, right? Basically with the data. And also you can also tell them that these things went wrong. So basically a storytelling part, all that. So for that, an important thing is to develop key performance indicators, which are the business critical metrics. So that's something BIE, we try to derive good metrics. That's definitely with help of the business partners. We talk to them back and forth and then identify like what are all the business critical metrics, and then we bring about those things. And then in big techs, we do have reviews like weekly business reviews, quarterly business reviews, and also operational business reviews. Having said that, and if there is some peak season or something which is coming up, like for example, holiday season and all that, we'll be having daily business reviews, or a product launch or something is going to come up. So we'll be having daily business reviews. So every day we do review those KPIs with respect to the actual values, whatever is being presented on a day-to-day basis. So definitely BIE plays a pivotal role in driving the business or steering it in the right direction with all these things. And the data interpretation and the storytelling comes with, with respect to the, how do I say, it's kind of an addendum to the business metrics. So it's an extrapolation point of the metrics. So we do deal with the metrics and try to tell them the story, like these went well, these did not go well, as I mentioned earlier. So that's a very interesting part. So with the visualization and all that, we do tell a story for the business, and it does help them figure out what is going wrong, and they definitely take immediate actions, and we could see the result of those actions as well once it is being done. And then when I say ad hoc analysis and problem solving, these are basically like on a day-to-day basis we get. In case if we don't have a historical data or something, they just come up to you and ask, hey, can you please give me the historical data? And that's when we start pulling like years together of historical data, and we end up with so many rows. So that's something like we need to be proactive and tell them that, hey, do you want it on, definitely on giving historical data on raw data level is not the right way to do. So we need to talk to business and make them understand that we are going to give it to you in an aggregated form. So these kind of communication we need to have as a BI. So we also need to let the business people know the tech difficulties, and then make them understand, and we stepping up and giving them the right way. Instead of just reporting, giving them the right solution matters a lot as a BI. So yeah, now the data engineering piece. And I really like the way Nirmal has put in the analogy of the plumber thing. Definitely data engineering is the face, I would say. It's the first part of like everything. So we just get the data in an unstructured format, and the data engineering definitely plays an integral part in modifying the data into a structural format, into a consumable. So this is something a BI plays along with the analysis, right? So this is a vital role which we play on a day-to-day basis. And also me as a BI, I do this a lot now. So that's something. And also it is team specific, I would say. If the particular team has a data engineering team, they would take care of maintaining the data warehouses and the data lake management. That part will be taken care of them. But still, we would be, there will be a need where we need to step into the shoes of a data engineer and then develop pipelines, create tables. Because even for small tables, we don't need to rely on data engineers, right? So we ourselves can do it. So it's definitely, so that plays a major role. And also data quality, which is like very, very important. Whenever you develop a table, we need to make sure that there is no deduplication or data quality issues. And also we need to make sure that we are getting the right data, getting to the right data source. That's also another thing. So definitely we need to talk to the business and also a few other teams, and then understand that whatever data we are getting is right or not. So yeah, back and forth will be there for a business intelligence engineer. So this part is an integral part, and it is the first phase of a data engineer's project life after the business gathering, requirement gathering. Then the next comes as the data scientist, the most important and integral part currently in the current business. So over here, I would attribute the A/B testing, especially, which is going on as a hot topic now with respect to the BIEs. So kind of a product teams. So they look more for the A/B testing side. Whereas the forecasting and all that is mostly, even the products will ask for, but mostly operation based business, right? So they opt for the forecasting, kind of data science thing. So yeah, this is where the data science part fits in. In addition to this, we do currently add LLMs to the dashboards. So apart from the visuals and storytelling, whatever we do, we can't put in like all the details, whatever we need into the dashboard. So it becomes cluttered. So currently what we are doing is on top of the dashboard, we embed the LLM models, whereas the business can, instead of asking us to develop like, hey, can you build this chart for me? They just ask the LLM, like, can you let me know, like, for the past 2 years, how did the sales go? Or when did it drop or something like that? So the LLM itself gives its own visual and also the description. With it all depends upon the data set which you embed, right? So if you have all the data, then definitely it's feasible with the LLM. So this is now booming now with respect to the GenAI kicking in. So this is with respect to the BI as a data scientist. And also there's a lot of what if analysis and causal analysis which is going on, which is done especially with the Excel and all that. So also Excel is also, an integral part of a BI world. So yeah, this is it with the data scientist. And then the tech skills required for a BI. 100% like very, very important is the advanced SQL. As I've mentioned, the window partition functions like lead, lag, CTs, and all that are like really important. Currently, like I had a scenario where I was using a lot of recursive CT functions. I haven't mentioned here, so we'll mention it, we'll update it. So the recursive CT functions are like now booming in as well with respect to the use case and also the team thing. And also the visualization tool is very important for a BI to know. So I would say like each big tech has its own specific visualization tool, and it is not easy to learn all the tools together. So I would say be proficient in one visualization tool so that you'll be able to knock it down like once you get into any company. So they will have their own tutorial videos and all that where you can learn and get it going. So you just need to know the concept of using a visualization tool, which is like really important. There are a lot of online certifications you would know by now. So you can take that, which will help you to get a kickstart to it. And ETL process, like building ETL pipelines, which is like really important as well. So you can get an sense of it through, definitely Vaishali will be covering this at the end. So I'll just let you know like on high level, like what are all the skills required. And also Python or R for data analysis. Like sometimes we use Python for data transformation and all that work. So I would say basic to intermediate Python level will be like really helpful. And also for the forecasting model which you built, though we have libraries, packages, it's always good to have a basic knowledge so that we can grow. And cloud platform, I did not mention a specific cloud platform, so you can choose your own. Basically, it's for, for the data, big data and all that, for the storage, like how do you integrate a storage with a data processing platform? And for example, in AWS, we have Lambda. So what we do is we store our data in S3 and then we connect it to the Lambda and then we run a code in Lambda for the data processing. We connected to an online database called Athena. From there, we connected to Tableau if few teams are using Tableau or Redshift or whatever visualization tool. And also Git. Git is really important. I would say like not many teams follow it, but it's a really good practice for sticking on to a good code practice, best code practices and all that, so that you send your code for review and then the senior people, they review your code, they see that whether you've written a code in a good manner and they give you suggestions and then all these things. So these are the major part, and also the data validation part also kicks in. So for example, if a code is going into a WBR or a OBR where a team leader team is like looking into it, definitely it makes sense for us to push it into code. So little bit of knowledge plays a major part in a BI world, or also any world, I would say. And advanced Excel is where I mentioned about the what if analysis, statistical modeling, and all that. And also, for example, sometimes ad hoc world, right? They ask you to develop charts in the Excel itself. So even that also comes in. So yeah, basic level of Excel. So I would say advanced SQL queries, visualization tool, ETL as a must. Python also like kind of must to okay. And then the cloud platform, Git and advanced Excel is like nice to have. Yeah, that's it. And then, yeah, reach out to me anytime. We all are here to help. Definitely. Thank you. And moving on to Vaishali.
Thank you, Subha. That was a really great presentation. And thank you, Nirmal, for hosting this. And hi, everyone. I am Vaishali. Let me share my screen real quick. Continue the talk. Let me know if this is visible.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So, hi, everyone. I am Vaishali. I am a data science leader. I have spent 6 years in the industry in both analytics and data science, and I have a master's in statistics. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'll try to be quick so that we can have more time for question and answer. So going to the next slide, I want to start this discussion with what kind of project that you should do if you're trying to get into BI role. So a lot of people who want to get into data science, data analyst, BI kind of a role, and then figure out what they want to do next. A lot of time doing good projects is very important, but doing what kind of projects is also very important. So I would suggest you two things. One, understand the industry and the requirements. For example, if you want to get into retail kind of giant, please look at the data that we have open source and then try to understand what kind of business questions they have and try to build projects around that line. That would be very easy, but make sure that you try to demonstrate your skills. Another thing is, if I have to start all over, what I would do is I will make sure that I am not doing the same kind of projects which are available in the market. For example, I have recently seen a lot of people doing house price prediction modeling, churn prediction modeling using credit card, right? These are very basic, or I would say very common projects that people pick and then, showcase in the projects, showcase in your resume. I would really recommend you to, put in some effort and then build a a good project. It doesn't need to be really complicated, but has to be something very meaningful, and you should be able to tell a story. So if I have to start and if I have to build a project, what I would do is I would pick up a subject which of my interest, and I love music. So for me, it's very easy to spend more time learning about different genres and then doing exploratory data analysis and then understanding how genres have evolved over the years. So there's this one project that I have mentioned here, which is analyzing how music genres and the popularity and listening patterns have shifted over the years, and then identifying current trends, user preferences, and then potential churn risk. So using this project, what I would do is I would use insights to guide content recommendation and target retention strategy. So this is just one project that I have mentioned here. If you click on this link, as we'll be sharing this data later on, I have also listed other 10, 15 projects that you can do on your own, and you can start it with these kind of projects. I also want to make sure that it's free. We have all the resources available for free, so you can use data sources on either Kaggle or you can use data from musicdata.com. Another good tool is Million Song Dataset. I was there and I was exploring data, and I found really good data there. When it comes to ETL tool, you can use Apache Airflow. It's open source, and then you can also use GPT Lab. I'm sure everybody would know about it. If not, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be able to guide you. When it comes to databases, feel free to use Snowflake Free Trial or Google BigQuery Sandbox, right? And then the most important part is clearing this data and then having a good presentation. So how to visualize it on the open sources. So like you have tab to public databases, and then you have public tab to public platform where you can do good visualization. Make sure that you utilize that platform. You can do a lot of dual access, and then you can do a lot of real-time data analytics on Tableau. So please make sure that you're using all the features available on this tool. And by doing this kind of projects, what kind of skill that you'll demonstrate? One, data collection and integration, which is the most important skill. If it's data analyst or BI, this is the most important skill, which is collection and integration, and then data transformation, data analysis, and then reporting and visualization. So I think that covers all the skills that you need to be a good BIE, or if you want to crack a entry-level BIE role interview, right? And I'm seeing like a lot of questions coming up on this thing. We will take care of that once I'm done with this entire slide. Let me quickly go to the next slide, which is how data scientists and we collaborate, right? So I have been data scientist all my life, and I've spent like 6 years in the industry solving business problem using data science, right? And that's the most important thing that we do. But we can't do it all alone. It's a collaborative effort. So we work with product managers, we work with BIE. So when it comes to BIE, there are two types of things that we do. And then there are two types of data scientists in the market, right? So one is type 1, that is me, which is product data scientist. We work a lot on the product side, and then we run experiments. We utilize clustering, time series, regression methods to solve business problems. And then when it comes to experimentation, which is the most important part of any product data scientist role, how we collaborate with BIE is also very important. So BIE also helped us streamline the data for which we can run the experiments, streamline the data so that we can do the analysis. So BIE team usually prepares and transform data for experimentation. They also set up automated ETA pipelines. So a lot of time we have to do monitoring on the ETLs to make sure that the data flows on a daily basis and the different time of the day smoothly, right? So if you automate it, it becomes very easy for data scientists to, run the analysis and then do the projects. So yeah, setting up automated ETA pipelines for accessible metrics, defining baseline metrics and KPI for tracking. So a lot of time what happens is business only has databases and certain metrics available for analysis, and we need like multiple metrics to analyze. For example, we have clicks data and we have sessions data, but the metric that I want to track is conversion rate, right? So BI team really helps me create an automated column for conversion rate. That's just a simple high level example that I'm giving. And then assisting with A/B testing, instrumentation, and validation. So once tests are done, BI team really helps us in the validation of the data by building the real-time dashboards or building like dashboards through which we can do the data checks. And lastly, ensuring data quality and consistency. I also want to make sure that data consistency and quality is responsibility of everyone, not just BI team. So if I'm a data analyst or data scientist, I make sure that I do my validation before I send out the data to the stakeholders. And then likewise, BI team, their major responsibility is data cleaning and then providing ETL, doing visualization. So it's not just, it's part of its main job, but it's not their responsibility, it's responsibility of everyone. So make sure that you do data validation before you send out your results. That's a one part of the BI works with product data scientists. Another type is how BI team help machine learning scientists who build a lot of models and make the business better. So how they help be data scientists in the sense that they develop and manage data pipelines for model-ready data sets. They support initial feature engineering from raw data. They also maintain and consistent fresh data so that, once if you want to update the model after the first try, we can do it. And applying data sampling, filtering for optimizing databases, right? And then monitoring data to make sure that there is no anomaly and then data is consistent. So these are like two type of ways how BI team help product data scientists and machine learning scientists in their regular and day-to-day work. And I'll finish this with my last slide, and then we are open for a discussion. What kind of interview tips I would give for anyone who is trying to get into a BIE role? So BIE is a very versatile role, and then yes, you have to demonstrate your technical ability. But another thing that is very important, and most of the time people don't focus on it, is networking. So network. Majority of my interviews, I was able to get it through networking, and people have reached out to me, I've reached out to them, and people are really kind. When I was starting out, they've helped me to get into the referrals, and they've also guided me, to get into to clear the interviews basically. So yeah, make sure you network on various platforms, go to the meetups, start creating content on LinkedIn, also reach out people on LinkedIn. People are really, readily available to help everyone. The second thing that really helped me during my rounds were doing mock rounds. For my Amazon interview, I did like 25 plus mock rounds and making sure that, I have covered everything. So please do mock round with your friends and then with other people who are, taking mock rounds. Try to reach out to people who are already in that company, whom you want to get into, and then, try to get more insights and try to do more rounds with them so that you can have proper insight as to what were the interview process earlier few years ago and what they are looking for currently. And yeah, practice lead code start at scratch. Again, I am from non-tech and I have done all 300 SQL lead code questions when I was interviewing with other companies. So make sure that you do utilize this platform like lead code start at scratch to crack the interview, and then it will also give you confidence. When you start it, you will not be able to clear even the easy questions, but with time you will be able to solve it. So start it with slow, do 1-2 questions a day, and then set up a time to kind of have a speed answer, and then set up a time to understand how quick you are running. So create like a 2-month, 3-month roadmap, and then try to stick to that roadmap. And yes, understand the business context as I mentioned, and then demonstrate technical ability. So you cannot just say, hey, I know SQL, can you please take me, right? You have to understand the business context and how your skills would impact the business, and then demonstrate your skills along with the business context. So that's very important for any individual who is trying to get into the data and tech currently. And then yes, of course, understanding data modeling concepts and then gaining experience with the projects that I have mentioned previously. You should be able to, good to go for any entry-level BIE role. So this is just in general interview tips from me, and I think I was able to finish it within 10 minutes. So yeah, we with that being said, I thanks again Nirmal and Subha for conducting this talk, and then we are open for the questions.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. That was a power pack with all the insights, information. So I'm hoping this was very worth of your time to come today and attend this talk. So let's actually pick up the folks who are in the queue for our questions. And then based on the question, I'll give you a quick heads up. We might go a couple of minutes extra, maybe 5-10 minutes, if you guys can stick around based on the questions and how much coverage we need to do. If the questions are not covered, then I might also take a note and then respond back on the email, because I'll respond back with the slides, recording link and everything for you guys. So on that, I'll add additional questions not covered. Okay. So let's pick first candidate here who has her hand up. Akanksha, you can go next.
Yeah, hello everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I have one question. Like I have 4 years of experience in the product industry as a senior product analyst. So how much is it important for me to do real life project and to build a GitHub to build a GitHub with the different or variety of the projects? Like this would be my first question.
How much experience you said you have?
4 years.
Okay. I won't say for 4 years experience. If you can highlight on your work experience the relevant, skills and everything that you need for the next role. If the next role is in alignment with what you have been doing, you don't necessarily need to build another project portfolio, right? That's more important, in my opinion, for new grads, or if someone is completely changing the transitioning on the career, right? So when I was a data analyst and I wanted to change to data science, I could highlight some data analytics skills on my resume from my work, but there was something that's missing. Exactly, I'm not doing on the day-to-day work. So for that, I kind of built some projects on my own that could kind of justify the skills I'm adding, right?
Okay, that makes sense. And can I go with another question or?
Yeah, go for it. One
Yeah,
more.
so I just wanted to know how the day look like working with Microsoft or Amazon, because I do want to know, like, if a company is making the decision, then how much they are inclined towards data or that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's not only with Amazon, Microsoft. Every company today is data driven, right? If they're not, they're probably going to fall behind. We collect a ton of data for different purposes, So, yeah, I mean, in Microsoft, that is the reason why we partner with OpenAI, why we partner with a lot of other companies, So you have to ultimately, like understand the need that, hey, how can you use data, right? So it's very kind of common and generic term to say, but I mean, daily life will depend on the role type. If someone is hired as a data engineer, his or her role mostly is going to be investing on the infrastructure side, building pipeline, monitoring jobs, whether anything is failed, validating the data quality, stuff like that. Someone coming in as a data scientist, if they are on the product side, like Vaishali mentioned, there's two different verticals, right? One is product side. You mostly work with the product managers in that case to understand the trends, whatever the data insights the product managers need. Because if you are in the product data science, you are going to be first cousin of product managers. Day in, day out, you're going to be working with them. And then if you're on the ML side of the data science, you're probably going to be taking some time to frame the problem, build the model, and then work with the ML engineers or software engineers to put that model in production once everything is tested, evaluated. So it really depends on the role type.
Okay, that makes sense. And I would be having one last question. Like, if I want to be a product analyst or let's say associate product manager at Microsoft, then what do they call this particular role? Because I'm really inclined towards B2C side. So, yeah, I just wanted to know, like, what do they call for this particular role?
Actually has something called program managers. They have this role for a long time. They are rebranding it as product managers, as you see probably new roles coming out as product managers. So ultimately the title is called PMs. P could be anything, right? Either product or program or project, right? And you are actually doing all three things, and so it really doesn't matter. However, in the current market trend, product manager's role is extremely popular. And I'll add something that if you have some technical background, the TPM or technical product manager role is also getting extremely popular in companies. And I think Microsoft is also started kind of embracing that role title as well.
And what do they call for the role of product analyst? Since I have been into that industry, I think I would be
Product manager itself.
okay. Okay. Thank you so much. These were my questions. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. All right, I'll go with Pranava. Next one. Pranav, right?
Hi, Nirmal. I'm Pranav. I'm currently in final year studying artificial intelligence and machine learning from India. So I have questions to three of you. If you are in my stage, I'm currently looking for internship opportunity in data fields. So what would you do as you have already like a few years of experience? Based on that experience, what would you redo it again if you are in final year or early career stage for entry level candidates?
So that's a good one. What I would do is I think what I didn't do and I wanted to do, and that's why I'm kind of sharing with a lot of folks, is like Vaishali had the first bullet point on her slide: network, network, and network, right? So, I mean, as cliche as it may sound, connections is what you're gonna learn. Like not only from the job perspective, your connections is gonna let you, like, if their feed, for example, you're following some people who is sharing the data science contents. You're following some people who's posting about the data science job. You're following some people who is kind of like sharing the contents on Substack or any other news blog or medium. So ultimately you are stacking knowledge, and gaining more, you know kind of like in-depth ideas or insights of the ongoing market and the field. That's very important, right? So when I was preparing for the role, I was almost like sitting inside the dark room and then just preparing for the job, building my resume and all. I actually didn't have much insights of what's happening outside. We live in the data world today. We have to be data driven. Since you start applying jobs, you're like, what is going on in the market, right? So do I have to just try the different door to open? A lot of people are just extremely blindly trying data scientist title, and I tell them multiple times, right? There are many data roles. If your purpose is getting to the house, there's not a single door you're gonna knock. There's gonna be multiple doors. Try to find the other roles. Get into the industry, spend 1 or 2 years, transition of career internally, externally to. It's just the first door is hard to crack, right? So as long as it's somehow affiliated to some sort of analytics or data related roles, it doesn't matter. You can pick it up, and any skills you learn is going to be valuable in your journey. If someone coming as data engineer today, their final goal is to be data scientist, it's okay. The data engineering will be extremely valuable skill when you become data scientist. So it's not going to go anywhere in vain, right? So, all right, if anyone from my team, coaches, wants to add something.
Yes, I can add one more point. So adding to what Nirmala said about in the connection, right? When you try to reach out to your connection, demonstrate your projects and say, hey, this is my project that I'm doing on that currently doing, and then how it will help your business, how it will, how my skills will help your business to be more streamlined, right? One thing is that. Second is there are other websites available in the market currently, which wasn't there when we started out. For example, Intershala, right? So you can apply to various openings at Intershala where you can start and see what kind of internship positions are available in the market. Even if you cannot get through Intershala, you still know the list of the companies who are hiring interns. And then third is try to get into startup or mid-sized companies initially to gain experience, because that's easier to get into when you are starting out versus when you target big tech when you're starting out. So yes, people have people with entry level, they were able to get into big tech, but initially maybe it's difficult. For me, it was difficult. So I started with mid-size and then I got into. So yeah, that's two things that I would like to add.
Yeah, I totally agree with you both. Just one thing which was left out was you guys can try, like something like a volunteering projects and all. That would be like an added advantage to you because you will be having a real-time experience as well. So that's something which you can do.
Shubha, I have one request. You noted down the skills very neatly, but I wanted, if possible, could you please share relevant resources to study? Few bit of relevant resources so that we can prepare.
Sure. I think in Vaishali's slide we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll modify those links and I can send that to you.
And also, the another question is, especially in data roles, you have mentioned frequently about business, understand business. So, but as an entry level student, I really don't understand what exactly do I need to learn about business. I mean, what should I focus on in terms of business context?
Okay, that is a good question. I'll give you my 2 cents, and I'll add my colleagues to add here. When I talk to my mentees, I think that is another aspect that I when you frame the project, like if you're working on a project, for example, try to pick some kind of like very interesting projects. Don't pick for the initial learning of how to understand the flow in data science, how things work. It's okay to pick the wine tasting problem, for example, right? But it's not going to be your portfolio project. You don't want to highlight that. So the reason is because you're not going to be tightly affiliating your business or at least any learning from that kind of project. For example, if you pick, there was one mentee I was talking yesterday, and I picked that data set. She was working on the data set about the accidents around the US, right? So, and it's very interesting data set, like it's data set given by Lyft. It is hosted in Kaggle, and then it has open-ended problem. It doesn't tell you that the problem is classification. It doesn't tell you problem is predicting, something. So now you have to come up with the initial problem itself. So because if you want to work on that data, and sometimes when you find a data set that doesn't tell you to do something or give some instruction in the Kaggle itself, I actually like that kind of data set where ambiguity is already there. It's your choice that you can define the problem. You can say that, okay, why accidents in certain cities higher compared to the other city when the population is same, road type is same? What is happening there, right? So that is the business part, right? Because if you think about from the Lyft perspective, because Lyft is sharing this data, what kind of business aspect will be important for them? For them, it will be to predict the accidents ahead of time so they can avoid that route. So, like they're not stuck there in the traffic or something, right? So, or they can tell their drivers to be aware of this certain hotspot where they have seen historically more accidents, right, on a particular time frame, and be aware, be cognizant about that. Just to get a pop-up notification that these are the hotspot locations. They may, on certain time, they may just avoid being around that area, right, or things like that. So business side is critical. It doesn't, and that's where you'll build it up once you start working. You don't have to worry too much in the beginning. Don't worry too much in the beginning, but at least get some insights for sure.
I would like to add one more thing into that. So also, if you're applying and if you're interviewing for a particular company, what you can do is go to their website and see what kind of product that they're having, what kind of services that they offer, if it's this company, and just try to understand what industry they are in. Once you understand the product, then look at the competitors. You can just Google that, similar products and similar services, and then you can have a list of the competitors. So then you can have like overall idea, high level idea of what business is and what kind of business that they are doing. Another thing I would definitely want to highlight is use ChatGPT. We have ChatGPT to streamline, and then you can do a lot of brainstorming with it, right? So just if you're starting out, do ChatGPT, connect with ChatGPT and see, hey, this is the industry that I want to go. I want to go into auto insurance. What kind of business that they would be facing? So could be seasonal impact, could be non-seasonal impact, could be long-term, short-term impact. So that is also another way to learn if you are just doing by yourself, and if you don't have a group of people with you to brainstorm with.
All right, in the interest of time, let me keep moving. If you have multiple questions, please pick your best one and drop the other ones on the chat. I'll make sure I'll come back to you, but I wanted to give opportunity for everyone to ask at least one question, right? So all right, Gordon, you're next.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you, Nirmal. Thank you, Vaishali, and thank you, Subha. Really enjoyed the content today. So my question basically essentially builds on top of the previous question the gentleman asked. So let's assume now you have gotten the exciting offer and you're joining the organization. I'm curious if any three of you have stories or strategies to share of how to really learn the business once you're actually in it. And there's two reasons that drives this question too that kind of help scope this question. So the first one is, I love the Lyft example, Nirmo, you gave, and I remember like Rochelle, you talked about like loving music. So those are things like we as like students, or like, professionals, right? We can learn outside of work. We can look at Google News, industry trends, etc. When you go inside a business, I've seen my career too, where it's like you're drinking from a waterfall. There's all these various product lines, even org charts, etc. to learn from. So it's kind of like that's one of the driving motivations. The second one is the reason why I asked for like kind of like a strategy or like a framework that you guys have used when you're starting a new job, a new team to learn about their business, their data, is because I know oftentimes like onboarding frameworks are not consistent across companies. So sometimes it's like you're starting, good luck, like go forth and conquer, which is cool. But, if there's any structures you can share, like, hey, first 30, 60, 90 days, you can try this, talk, make sure you talk to your manager, ask these questions. That'd be super helpful as well. So taking a pause there as my question for today. Any thoughts from the team?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Thanks for bringing that up. I myself, when I was in my first role, and as you put it right, like drinking from a waterfall or fire hose, or they drop me in the ocean and let me figure it out, right? So
yeah,
technology we can use. But I think the one thing that I learned, and it worked for me, is a few things. One, I would try to do my first few one-on-ones with manager, extremely focus on learning what is our sister orgs, what is the other teams that, and try to understand the core objective of your team. Initially, you need to understand from your team. I was trying to understand the organization holistically. I was thinking that bird's eye view will give me more better picture, but it confused more than giving clarity. So what I did was taking a step back. First few one-on-one calls with my managers, I extremely focused on what is this particular our team is doing and where we fit in the puzzle of this big picture. Someone is painting the picture. I don't have to see the whole picture, but let me know what I am painting, right? So if someone is painting a big picture of elephant, I don't have to see, or I don't even have to know someone is painting that. Tell me that if I'm drawing the lakes, then I know my tasks. I know and ultimately when you see the big picture, companies follow this OKRs, right? The objective key results. And then you can see ultimately when it times like 6 months down the line, then it's time for your performance review, stuff like that. Then you did some of the work items on your Jira or your sprint planning. Now try to spin your gear that all of these work items that I'm doing, it has to tie with some sort of key results, right? It's gonna have to tie with some sort of features, key result, and that key result becomes a part of the bigger objective. And that actually gave me more clarity, like, okay, now I can see even the small work item that I'm doing is a part of this piece, and this is part of this piece. I can now start seeing that someone is painting elephant, right? And then the other piece that I will do is, and that kind of help myself, is find a mentor as soon as you get in the company, right? So you try to, from your own team, from your cross team, who is very tightly connected to your team. And then every company that values the career growth, growth mindset is there. If not, then I think I won't join that company if they don't value the growth. So the thing that you have to do is find a mentor. In that mentorship call, make sure you value their time. So you prepare yourself ahead of time. What are the questions you want to ask? What are the things you want to learn about the org? And then that will help you a lot. Those two things, yes.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Just to make sure I recap for the group too. So the first tip is during your first starting with your one-on-ones with your manager, just truly understand what you could do as a new individual contributor and really support the team. Yep. Then after a while, see how your tasks and what you understood you did supported the business. And then that kind of paints the full picture. Okay. And then mentors too. Yeah. That's super helpful.
Be on the listening mode. First 6 months, 1 year, you have to be very, very on the listening mode. And then once you understand, as you mentioned, for 6 months, if you understand a little bit of business, then actually you can come up with some ideas to improve something. I see a lot of people joining newcomers from other teams. If they have some experience, stuff like that, they try to come and then understand the process as fast as they can, or even pitching ideas to change something. I mean, it's okay to have that kind of perspective from the third eye. Because in our team, I might be kind of blindsided with some of the process that could be improved heavily, right? And when third person comes in, they can sometimes quickly see that, and it's okay. We will have that in our backlog. Obviously, everyone's backlog is always busy, right? So, but however, I don't suggest that anyone to go in and then try to say that, hey, I want to make a change, right? You first understand their ongoing rhythm of business. That's what we call ROB, right? So, and then suggest your changes or any suggestions. So, all right. So I'm hoping I covered that well. So moving on, Ram, Chari, you're next.
Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone. So can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So my question is I was entering, I have sales experience for 4 years. So I'm trying to switch my domain. So I'm working on it currently. So my question is data is very important to bring insights, right, for everything. So we get raw data, first of all. So we don't have any clean data. So what should we do to clean the data so that we can drive correct business insights? Yeah, that's what my first question.
Okay. So you want to know how do we clean the data?
Yeah, clean the data. Yeah, that's the first thing. Okay. And what we can do so that we can understand what problem we are trying to solve.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is probably going to be big talk. If I have to, I need to probably pull another presentation on how to clean the data, but I'll try to summarize. Obviously, every problem is different, right? So let me start with that. So cleaning data is okay. So if you got the raw data from your data engineering team or data owners, then I mean, before you start making a plan, how do you clean the data? You want to understand what are the attributes or what are the things that you might think will be helpful for your project if you're doing analytics for something. So for example, I am building a model for anomaly detection, and then I get with my team, they gave me all the telemetry data. I need to understand the first thing I need to understand, I ask always, is the schema, right? So if I don't understand the data model and don't understand the schema, let alone anything else, you will not be able to do anything because you don't know what data means what. And the definition of each attribute field is important because it can come from multiple database. It could mean same thing, right? So when you have to probably later join, integrate, then now the cleaning process is like depend on your tax. If I'm doing NLP, I have a description text, right? So I follow all the NLP related cleaning process, like tokenizing, dropping stop words, things like that. That's part of cleaning also, right? If I am doing something else, like, hey, I need to understand first the missing values on all the columns, things like that. If I'm building a particular ML model for classification, then there's a lot of things so you can do. But if I have to give you one takeaway that can help you is understand the schema, understand what this data is and how you're going to use it for your use case, right? The first thing is that, then only you can figure out what are the things you need to clean, or because cleaning is data cleaning. Obviously, we all say, right, 80% of time goes on that. I mean, 80% is you get, I spend more than that actually. All right, so I will like to move on. Ram, if you have additional questions, feel free to connect with me. And then if it's particular business case or use case, I'm more than happy to help you. Okay.
Sure. And thanks for your time.
Yeah. Thank you. Next question, Rajendra.
Hey, hi, Nicole. First of all, thank you for hosting the session. So this stuff with regards to the internal data center, the ML part. So I do have 2 years of experience as a data engineer back in India, and currently I'm pursuing masters in data analytics. So I'm in the third semester, so I'll be graduating in 2025. So would you plan to transition into the data science or the ML part, which because that's something that I've done yet. So do you recommend me to getting at this point of time, given the market, do you recommend me to apply for data engineering jobs and then try to switch at the company level rather than laying the resume game?
So if I understood, sorry, the sound was not coming much clear. If I understood correctly, you wanted to understand if you want to break into data engineering first before you go to data science side. And is that right?
Yeah. So given the kind of experience that I have, so it would be more on the data engineering part since I my full-time experience and internship. Yeah, but my inclination is towards the predictive analytics part and deploying the models that have been developed on a scale. So do you recommend me to play the resume game, or do you recommend me to get an opportunity in the data engineering domain itself and then switch it at the company stage?
Okay, yeah, I understood now. Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. So I will suggest you to stick to your swim lane and then try applying a lot of the data engineering side heavily. I would say 80% of your job applications should focus on that part. However, I won't say that completely ignore the other side. If you have a tailored version for ML engineering, you can also apply some of the ML engineering roles. Even if you get picked up for interviews and if it didn't work out, it's okay. At least you get to, test the flavor of what ML engineering interviews are. And sometimes that may motivate, demotivate you in either direction, right? So learning will be there. So, but I will not focus heavily on going in multiple direction. Rather, I mean, the market is going to get slowly better. We are, everyone is positive, at least for next year. It will be trying to focus on data engineering role. Data engineering is actually more demand right now.
Oh, yeah, actually, I saw the document that you listed on you mentioned the same.
Yeah.
So is it possible to switch from D to DS or MLE?
Yeah, of course. Most of the data engineers I work with, they already are working on some of the ML related projects, right? So if you are affiliated or if you're going to get tied with the data science team, which ultimately most of the data engineering team is tied to the ML team and data science team anyway. So in a year or two, you kind of build that channeling and do either internal transition yourself, or if not, you ask your manager that, hey, I want to work or get engaged on more ML driven projects. And then if you do 1 or 2 projects like that, it will help you to go on the ML track.
Okay. Thank you for your suggestion. And I would like to thank all three, Nirmal for hosting the session, and Vaishali and Subha, especially bringing out the BI point where, it's completely doing multitasking, which deals with gathering the data, reprocessing it, and doing some data analytics as well. So this is something interesting that I would like to try for myself. Thank you for bringing that, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah, thanks so much. All right, Aditi Chintamani, if I say it right.
Yeah, that's right. I hope I'm audible.
You are, yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I've been in analytics for 4 years now. I recently moved to United States and my EAD is currently in progress. So my question to you is, so meanwhile, how can I find mentors so I can, they can help me gain experience through real business projects while I wait for my EAD?
Okay. Quick suggestion. Some people in LinkedIn, they have their profile titles putting mentor if they are willing to offer mentors. There are also free, some of the websites where you can find mentors in data science industry, So I would say the first bet is LinkedIn, where you find, especially with the job title you were looking for. So data scientist and mentor, if you type and if you filter by people and try to filter by the second degree connection, that way when you approach them, you can already say that I came to your profile through the mutual connections, and then it kind of makes the conversation easier for you to request connection. Some folks are already putting mentoring or mentorship on their profile, right? So it helps to filtering. And yeah, try to reach out. I would say if you reach out to 10 people, only 1 responded. I consider that as a big win.
Got it. So how do I stay up to date and be ready for the job whenever my EAD comes up?
Up to date again. So basically follow the right folks who are kind of sharing contents about the learning data science market, things like that, and try to practice. Like if you want to stay up to date, then like there are some stuff like blogs, articles you can follow, people you can follow in Substack as well. Like you just have to first find that specific thing you wanted to understand, right? So you cannot get everything, right? So I mean, learn all these is sounds good, but it's going to put you in trouble. So once you understand what you wanted to do, then just go through this. A lot of the folks sharing the contents around, like there are Medium, Substack. I actually have signed up on a lot of news articles, newsletter myself, so I get in emails about what they are publishing, And you can also pick one project. It could be very simple, just for you to spend 1 or 2 hours a week and
Got it.
just keep grinding on the same project. Try to tackle a different problem statement, same data set. Doesn't matter. So I still do quite a bit of projects myself. So I also advertise projects on the LinkedIn. If people have come across, then join our projects as well.
Got it. Yeah, thank you. I do have a lot of questions, but in the interest of time, thank you so much for addressing most of it. I'll connect with you over LinkedIn and maybe I'll ask you that.
Additional questions there is fine. Yeah. So
thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Next person is Melisha.
Yeah, Melissa, it's for you.
Melissa.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant Alicia.
No, sorry.
No worries.
Actually,
So no worries. So my question's a little bit for myself, but maybe might be helpful for others. As someone who's I have probably a lot more experience than most of the folks. But that being said, I think it was Suba, and I apologize if I mispronounced your name, mentioned earlier that in the BI role that there's business impact to be made there in this role. My question really relates to how do you promote that impact that you're making to your leadership or to others? Because I think it's great that we are learning a lot about the technical side of things, but then it becomes that whole situation of how do I relay my value with what I'm doing with these technical skills?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. See, I can give you a scenario where, we do have an inventory. We do have an inventory which is like sitting in a data center or a warehouse or whatever. So there are like few items which are obsolete, okay? And then with data, we are seeing that $27 billion of items which are just using up the space in our FC or data center or whatever, and we can actually liquidate, right? So it's basically we are getting back that $27 billion worth amount. So that's something we can project it in a data or in a dashboard or whatever, and we can present it to our leadership and say that, hey, so this is how our tech skills business and the data type around and, you know, produces a great value. So there are like many more instances where we save a lot of money because of the data, the analysis, what we do, and also predict something which is going to happen, and then we can hamper that.
Sure. Thank
Did
you.
I-
Yeah,
And
definitely.
adding to that, one thing that I do and that helps me, keep a track of the kind of impact that I've generated over time is having documentation. So I have a document where I have a table and it says, the problem statement, the expected impact, and the actual impact. Right. So you have your delta, and then you can see how much you have put into the effort and what kind of impact that you have provided. So it could be more or less, it doesn't always go as per the expectation. So
Right.
yeah, and then having like monthly doc on how you have progressed and what kind of problem that you have solved. That also helps, showcase like what kind of problem that you have solved for a year. So you can pick like 2 to 3 a month and then create a document for the entire year. Like monthly doc and then clustering like a combination of monthly doc and go a year. That also is helpful, I think.
That's definitely.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna pick the last question. Thank you everyone for sticking around. So Omar, if we can cover it briefly.
Hello, my name's Omar. Yeah, I'm gonna cover it briefly because I know it's ahead of time because the meeting's. So I wanted to ask regarding, by the way, I'm gonna do a speaking engagement in AI Tinker. So I want to thank all the mentors for helping me just do a speaking engagement in AI Tinker so I can showcase but whatever. Let me just answer the question. So how important is GitHub repositories when it comes to showcasing to potential employers? Because one of the things I'm hearing, because I know it's important, but like I want to tell like my fellow like classmates who just want to get into data science or artificial intelligence and machine learning field. One of the things they have always heard is like get a GitHub, and a lot of times it's like deer in the headlights. They don't know what it is. So how important is GitHub repositories when it comes to showcasing employers and how of high demand it is? That's just my basic question.
Yeah, I have a mixed take on this. I think if you asked me a few years ago, I would say it's extremely important. Now I have a little bit of change mindset because I know like people go post their projects in GitHub, but then it also shows that if you're not very active in the GitHub, it kind of shows that heat map tracker, right? So it can kind of potentially give a red flag that, hey, this person has shared the GitHub, but he or she is not even active in the GitHub at all, right? So, and if I go look back on my own profile, it could be a very, very, very minimal activeness, because I don't post projects these days because I do projects on my own or with company, right? Obviously on my job related training. So one take I have is there are other portfolio hosting sites that are extremely easy to set up and you can actually utilize them. Portfolio.io is one of the one that I suggest a lot of folks in it. Useful, easy to set up. There's other card. I think there's quite a bit you can find online. So it doesn't really have to be GitHub these days, as long as your projects kind of like is hosted somewhere and it's kind of elegantly presented, your description of the project and some code base. It could be now it can redirect to your GitHub, but your first front interface is you sharing someone it doesn't really have to be GitHub. That's my take, because ultimately whoever is reviewing your resume or whoever is evaluating you, the candidacy, they're gonna have to see if you want to highlight or you want to justify your skills based on the projects, and those projects needs to be accessible somehow. That's all we care, right? So just don't call out the projects and I don't have any links or anything to go and look at it. Nobody have time to go to deep dive into your code base, right? I mean, even if they don't have time to see the resume, so who's gonna go and look into the code? As long as it's organized, really well written, read me, and that is why the new portfolio websites I find it more useful. That is
Thank
my
you very much. That's my question. Thank you very much. I'm definitely going to tell my classmates and stuff because they really want to know.
Link on the chat. Obviously, that is actually very easy to set up. You can transfer all your GitHub projects here as well. All right, guys, we are over time, but I think a lot of discussion were extremely valuable. Thanks for staying a little longer. I will share the recording afterwards, clean up a little bit, and all the questions that I didn't cover. There are a couple of questions I saw from Usman and other folks. Trust me, I'll get back to you. And then I hope everyone found this very useful and productive. Thank you so much. And I couldn't have done it without my coaches. Thanks, Subha and Vaishali, for giving me your time. My only goal here is people joining, they learned something today. So that's if that happened, we did a successful event, right? So, and I encourage everyone to share your learnings in LinkedIn, tag us, and anything like what we went positive, or negative. I mean, I'm open for critics, like we don't improve without getting feedbacks, right? So that's all I have for everyone. Quickly, if any one of you guys are open to turn on the camera, please do. I'm gonna grab one screenshot that I will use for my own. Okay, thanks guys. Have a nice weekend, and yeah, I'll do this more often. So follow all of us in LinkedIn and get up to date, and best wishes for your data journey wherever you are at. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.